More next week. Coming up next, the news from ITN. That's followed by Rock of Europe and Thomas Dolby. How about tomorrow through the night? Well, at 1:45, we've got Cover Story, taking the lid off the life of Jose Feliciano. And at 2:15, our great cult crime story, Magnificent, set to the music of Del Shannon. But next, the news.
And now, monsieur, the sliced Bolivian crab with devil truffles and a bit of Tahitian seaweed. Voila. Something to drink, monsieur?
Well, I did come here for something to eat, but,
Stretch works with eyes.
Nothing else, sir?
Oh, Julien de citron naturel.
What?
Slice of lemon.
The secret of straight, you know who. How refreshingly simple.
So, Martin, why won't you turn round and look at the camera?
Joking, have you seen these spots?
I can't take my eyes off them. Look, have a bash with this stuff and see if you look any prettier in 5 days.
5 days? Take more than that, mate.
Ultra Clearasil Acne Treatment. Ultra Clearasil can turn round spots and acne in just 5 days.
So what do you reckon then, Martin?
Well, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better.
Are you feeling pretty?
Prettier.
Ask at your pharmacy for Ultra Clearasil, the acne treatment that's so fast, we've now called it Ultra Clearasil. New, longer-lasting Sure for men. At the end of the day, it won't let you down.
Sir? I'd like a drink, please. Hot one. To make sure it's cold.
Will there be anything else, sir?
No, thank you. I won.
Carlsberg, probably the best lager in the world.
This is Anglia Television with the latest news headlines from ITN.
188 people are now known to have died in the United Airlines crash in Iowa. Airport officials say 110 have survived. The plane had been trying to make an emergency landing at Sioux City Airport. 290 people were aboard. United Airlines Flight 232 had taken off from Denver bound for Chicago. The pilot circled the airport several times before coming into land, crashing just short of the runway. Michael Nicholson reports from the United States. We've just received these pictures of the crash itself.
How anyone could have survived such a crash is as much a mystery as how it happened. The fuselage is in at least 4 pieces. The wings have been torn away. What we do know is this, that the pilot of Flight 232 reported a failure of the rear engine midway through his flight from Denver to Chicago. He descended to 11,000 feet, then alerted Sioux Airport that he was attempting an emergency landing. But as he approached, the right wing dipped, it touched the ground, and the plane cartwheeled and then exploded. A team of investigators are now on their way to the crash, but already experts are discounting a total hydraulic failure and are looking for other reasons. Pilot error is among them. Michael Nicholson, ITN, in the United States.
Several survivors simply walked away from the plane unscathed. Some have been talking about what happened.
We landed, and it was really hard. We skidded for a while on our side, and then flipped over and skidded some more, and finally stopped, and I was hanging upside down. I released my seatbelt, basically fell to the ceiling, which was down now, and looked towards the emergency exit, I was supposed to go out, but I couldn't see anything up there except smoke. So I looked towards the back of the plane, and there was daylight there, and I just climbed over the debris. And
there's an emergency number for more information. It's the number for Sioux City Police, 0101 712 279 6440. That's all. There'll be more on ITN's morning news at 5 minutes past 5.
And in just an hour's time, we'll have another news headlines from ITN. But now it's Rock of Europe and Thomas Dolby. Thomas, take the stage, boy. Come on. Hey.
I've recently moved from England to the United States, and you have to take it in a spirit of fun, because otherwise it can be very depressing.
Being in the United States?
Well, I think really because the kind of disposability of everything in the United States, as against the, shall we say, the sort of timeless classical values of Europe.
That's true.
Which I was never that big of a fan of anyway, I think.
But now you're here, you miss it.
I think you're bound to miss it up to a point, because if you're born and raised in Europe, then it's very much in your blood.
How could I leave this?
Yeah.
It's so beautiful, How could you possibly leave with the weather? Well, it's a good place to be at this particular point in time. I didn't like it when I first...
Coming up next, we've got the latest news headlines from ITN. That's followed by the Aussies Special Squad. But next week on Rock of Europe, oh, God, what a treat, eh? Take 6 girls. Debbie Gibson, Lisa Fiorello, Sam Fox, Mastermind finalist, Sabrina in widescreen, Belinda Carlisle, and Kim Wilde. It's just as well I shan't be introducing it for you next week, because I wouldn't be able to control myself. That's Rock of Europe next week at the same time. Coming up next, the news.
Mrs. Mouse has discovered a delicious alternative to her everyday cheese. It's made and matured in the traditional way, but it's high in polyunsaturates and low in saturates. Well, it is from the people who make Flora margarine. And it tastes so good, but only she knows the difference.
5 years. 5 years I've been doing this. 5 years to the day. 5 years to the day. You really expect me to put up with you forever?
Only if you play your cards right.
Late again, Richard.
It's the car.
Head and shoulders? I didn't know you had dandruff.
I don't.
Well, if you don't, who does?
You can't always tell the people who do use Head and Shoulders quite as easily as those who don't.
With an ordinary medicated shampoo, dandruff can still be there. But with Head and Shoulders used regularly, it's completely clear. Don't have dandruff. Have great-looking hair with Head and Shoulders shampoo and new conditioner.
If spots made them hide, what could make them turn round in just 5 days? Ultra Clearasil. The acne treatment that's so fast, we've now called it Ultra Clearasil.
You got it right. This is Anglia Television taking you right through the night. Now with the news from ITN.
"188 people are now known to have died in the United Airlines crash in Iowa. Airport officials say 110 have survived. The plane had been trying to make an emergency landing at Sioux City Airport. 290 people were aboard. United Airlines Flight 232 had taken off from Denver bound for Chicago. The pilot circled the airport several times before coming into land, crashing just short of the runway. Michael Nicholson reports from the United States. We've just received these pictures of the crash itself.
How anyone could have survived such a crash is as much a mystery as how it happened. The fuselage is in at least 4 pieces. The wings have been torn away. What we do know is this, that the pilot of Flight 232 reported a failure of the rear engine midway through his flight from Denver to Chicago. He descended to 11,000 feet, then alerted Sioux Airport that he was attempting an emergency landing. But as he approached, the right wing dipped, it touched the ground, and the plane cartwheeled and then exploded. A team of investigators are now on their way to the crash, but already experts are discounting a total hydraulic failure and are looking for other reasons. Pilot error is among them. Michael Nicholson, ITN, in the United States.
Several survivors simply walked away from the plane unscathed. Some have been talking about what happened.
We landed, and it was really hard. We skidded for a while on our side, and then flipped over and skidded some more, and finally stopped, and I was hanging upside down. I released my seatbelt, basically fell to the ceiling, which was down now, and looked towards the emergency exit, which I was supposed to go out, but I couldn't see anything up there except smoke. So I looked towards the back of the plane, and there was daylight there, and I just climbed over the debris. And
there's an emergency number for more information. It's the number for Sioux City Police, 0101 712 279 6440. That's all. There'll be more on ITN's Morning News at 3 minutes past 5.
And on that morning news from ITN, we'll have special reports from CNN, America's 24-hour news service. But now it's Special Squad.
Go on.
Cool, it's rough out at Noz, isn't it? Tomorrow at 4:10 in the morning, we'll be taking a look back at the newsreel from 1939 in 50 Years On. But next, it's the morning news.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant.
Sometimes man's best friend seems almost human. That's why new Friskies buffet doesn't look like a dog food. Nourishing meaty chunks in thick, tasty gravy.
Thank you for being a friend. I want to thank you. Thank you for
New Friskies buffet, because man's best friend is almost human.
I know who's in control here. I know every day.
Where is my baby?
Smooth and mellow taste.
This is Anglia with the morning news from ITN.
At least 188 feared dead in plane crash in America, but more than 100 survive. Good morning. It's 5:03 on Thursday, the 20th of July. The main headlines this morning. At least 188 people are feared dead in the United Airways crash in Iowa. It's the second worst air disaster in American aviation history. General Jaruzelski has been elected president in Poland by just 2 votes. And the Environment Secretary Nicholas Ridley is attacked by Labour and his own backbenchers over the poll tax. President Gorbachev's troubles continue in Siberia, where a strike by coal miners is threatening his economic reform program, a report in our World News. And from American television, the survivors of the Iowa crash recount their miracle escape. But to the main news, and first to the air crash in Iowa. 298 passengers were on board Flight 232 as it came in to make an emergency landing at Sioux City Airport. Survivors have spoken of how flight attendants told them to brace themselves for a hard landing and how the plane cartwheeled down the runway. More than 100 are known to have survived. At least 188 are feared dead.
Flight 232 with 278 passengers and 11 crew aboard was on a scheduled flight from Denver to Colorado. But midway between the two cities, the pilot reported a rear engine failure and began to descend. But on final approach, the nose dipped, the plane slipped to the right, its right wing hit the ground, it cartwheeled twice, and it exploded as its wings were torn away. Experts watching an amateur video of the crash say that the pilot seemed to have lost control only in the final seconds of landing, as if the last of the 3 independent hydraulic systems had failed him. The miracle is that anyone survived.
We rolled and upside down and inside out and every which way. The plane broke into 3 pieces. And bodies all over the place. I ended up upside down. I unfastened my belt and dropped a little ways, which wasn't too bad. And the smoke's coming in. Finally, I saw what I thought was an open window, but it was flames. I said, "The hell with it, I'm going for it."
Well, I went back in the plane to find my daughter, and I heard her crying, and yet I didn't know. I couldn't see her because it was, of course, dark in there. And I heard her cry, and I knew it was her cry, but I couldn't hear it again. And others were still going out, so I was it was a narrow walkway, and others are going out, and I'm going forward, and just asking, shouting, "Is there a baby? I'm looking for my baby."
When I undid my seatbelt, I fell and I hit my head on the ceiling, and had to straighten myself out. I picked up a baby that was nearby and carried the baby out, and I stood around afterwards helping everybody else get out of the plane.
There's an emergency number for more information. It's the number for Sioux City Police, 0101 712 279 6440. The Environment Secretary Nicholas Ridley is thought to have weakened his chances of remaining in the Cabinet even further after fierce Commons exchanges over the poll tax. Mr. Ridley told the Commons the average community charge for each person will be £275, but the cost will vary substantially from area to area. Both Labour and Conservative backbenchers accused him of compromising his plans to create a fair community charge for everybody.
What Mr. Ridley is trying to work out here now is a financial gerrymander to save the skins of Tory members of Parliament in marginal seats around the country. It's a disgraceful idea, and it's being disgracefully manipulated purely to try to bring advantage to the Conservative Party.
We could have gone bang from where we are now to where we want to be in one go. But I don't think that that is what people want. But inevitably, you're going to get pressure from both sides to go faster on the one hand and slower on the other hand. The fact that that pressure was about equal, as I say, doesn't seem to me to be too bad an augury.
The European Commission in Brussels has threatened legal action against the government unless it comes up with better plans to clean up the country's drinking water within 2 months. The ultimatum could weaken enthusiasm for the government's water privatisation plans. The EC are concerned primarily with the level of nitrate seeping from farmland into the water supply. The Department of Environment says it's confident it can reach an agreement with the EC before selling off the water authorities in November. Poland's communist leader, General Jaruzelski, has been elected by a margin of 2 votes as the country's new president. He needed 270 votes to win. The Solidarity leader, Lech Wałęsa, immediately sent a letter of congratulations. General Jaruzelski arrived at the parliament late last night to take his oath of office. In his acceptance speech, he said he wanted to be a president of reconciliation and a representative of all Poles. After the break, the world news. The top story is the widespread coal strike in Siberia, which is threatening President Gorbachev's economic reform program.